Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of CP Fieldcraft. Today we're taking a look at the DNT ZULUS 4K that we've got here in front of me today, and we're going to compare it side by side with the DNT ZULUS V2. So just going off the bat, what I'm going to say is clearly you can see there's a physical difference. V2 is very much a small modular item, and you've also got the IR built into it right there, so you don't need to worry about an external. However, it hasn't got the traditional rifle scope look. Now, the ZULUS 4K, as you can see, you've got the beautiful traditional looking rifle scope. Anybody that doesn't know about digital scopes, if they were to look at this, they wouldn't realise it's a digital day and night scope. So there's that main big difference between the two. What I'm going to do today is really simply show you the picture quality difference and just break down a little bit of basically bits of information about each one, whether or not as well for you guys that already have the ZULUS V1 and the V2, whether it's worth upgrading as well. So let's crack on. I'm going to turn both the scopes on, look down range, and put the footage side by side so you guys can see the image difference. So initially we're going to look in the day, and then later on we'll be popping back and taking a look at everything out in the dark as well. See you there. ZULUS 4K in the flesh, looking beautiful, if I don't mind saying so. And I'm going to even risk upsetting all the lads out there and the ladies with the 4K Alpex Lite and say, my opinion at least, the scope definitely looks a lot more slick. It just does. Then here, the faithful ZULUS V2. Now, not quite as pretty, but it gets the job done, and you got a built-in IR torch. You will need to put an IR torch on this scope. Now, you don't need to spend an arm and a leg on an IR. However, it doesn't include one. So I would say that's 1 point for the V2, but testing so far, daylight, This thing definitely outshines the V2. Definitely does. There's no getting around it. Right, so that's our initial daytime test with the ZULUS 4K and the DNT ZULUS V2. Now, what I will say is, to my eye anyway, the image is clearer through the 4K, and I would say the colour as well, it's a little bit more realistic. On the V2, I've noticed it's a little bit more vibrant, but it's not quite as close to being natural. Now, there is settings in the scope. You can turn that setting on and off to make the image more vibrant. I don't use that in my V2 simply because I like things to be as close to lifelike as possible. Would I consider upgrading? Daytime, I'd say yeah, it's probably worth the upgrade. Nighttime, I'm not sure yet, but you'll catch us back here shortly. We're going to wait for it to go dark. I'm going to go home, go and have some dinner, have a brew. We'll come back when it's dark, and then we'll put the 4K through its paces and compare it to the ZULUS V2 and see if it's worth the upgrade in the dark. Daylight, I would say yeah. Not only that, you get the traditional, oh, if I can point the camera correctly, you get the traditional rifle scope look, which is something everybody likes. Who doesn't like a traditional looking scope? You can't beat it, it's gorgeous. Now, I'm not knocking the V2 at all in terms of the way it looks. I love it. But for you folk out there that prefer a more traditional looking rifle, obviously you're going to prefer the tube scope. So that's part of the reason why I'm also comparing them, because not only can you compare what they look like physically, but whether or not the performance is any better on the 4K. And through the day, it's safe to say, in my opinion, it's definitely a little bit sharper. But as I say, nothing to take away from the V2. It's still an absolutely cracking scope, and for the prices they're going for, they're an absolute steal. But if you've got a little bit more coin in your pocket and you do fancy upgrading, ZULUS 4K, worth every penny in terms of my testing so far. Not to mention, you also get, let me just get the camera onto that, hopefully the lighting's okay, a beautiful set of mounts as well. Now these mounts, there's some scopes out there, you get mounts with them, and if we're honest guys, they're absolutely gash. They're terrible. These though are solid. They're very, very nice. Not only that, but it also tells you, I'm not sure if you're going to pick it up on camera. Let's see if I can come around to the opposite side where there's a little bit more lighting. Oh, see if I can find it. There you can see 18 there, £18. So it actually says the torque setting. Now if you're a little bit anal like me and you like to torque things down and have things how they should be, it's unreal that they've managed to laser engrave that on some mounts, and they come with the scope. Not many scopes these days come with mounts, so that for me is a massive win. And the normal scope ring mounts, there's none of this bracket malarkey like what you get with the V2, which is nice. But yeah, that's all I've got to say so far during the day test. Roll on night time. See you there. Hi guys, as promised, we're down at the range, except now it is pitch black. Obviously I'm lit up like a Christmas tree, so you can see me on camera when I'm talking to you. But yeah, we've compared them today. ZULUS 4K and ZULUS V2. In the day, the 4K was the clear winner. It's a 4K sensor compared to a 1080p sensor. It's obviously going to look better in the day. But moving on to the night. Now, we're back at Willow Creek at my range that I go to, and we're going to take a quick look in the dark. On the ZULUS 4K, there is an IR illuminator. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly check the difference between the illuminator that's on the ZULUS and the illuminator that's on the 4K, because the one that's on the 4K is not just any old illuminator. It is the absolute dog's bollocks, pardon my French. It's a very expensive one, so I'm going to see what it's like first of all with the IR that's just built into the ZULUS V2, and just to keep it fair, and then I'm then going to compare with the IR that's on the 4K currently. If you are interested, the IR that's on the 4K is the Solaris SRX. Will warn you, it's not cheap. It's not cheap, I will warn you. It's very much a premium IR, and I've had a little look with it across some fields, and it's absolutely insane. It's maybe a little bit overkill for air rifle usage, but nevertheless, it's there. So that's enough of me rambling. I'm going to put the footage up side by side, just like the daytime, ZULUS V2 and the ZULUS 4K, and yeah, we'll pit them up against each other, see what comes out on top. Right, so we've just completed the test in the dark, and I can conclude that the ZULUS 4K, sorry, it is ever so slightly better. It is. Would I say it's worth the upgrade if you've already got a V2 or a V1 ZULUS? I suppose if you've got the money to upgrade, yeah, absolutely, I can't fault it. You get the benefit of having the sexy traditional tube scope look, which everybody likes that, let's be fair. You've also got the added benefit of the fact you've got a base magnification of 3 all the way out to 24, so it's got a wider range magnification, so ideal for ratting, and then of course people that go out on your rats, squirrel shooting, obviously around your farmyards as well, doing your corvids and your pigeons and what have you. Would I buy one? I would definitely buy one. Am I going to buy one? I'm not too sure, because I have already pre-ordered a new scope, and yeah, I'm very excited for that. You guys will see that on the channel when I've received it, but stick to V2 versus the 4K. 4K wins it in terms of just pure performance. However, would I say you need to upgrade? No, I wouldn't. The ZULUS V2 and the V1 for that matter are still very much relevant scopes, especially with a price point as well. They've got everything you need. Day scope, nice scope, and you've got ballistic calculator, you've got your laser range finding, and you've got a built-in IR, so it's one less thing to worry about. Would I let it put? I wouldn't say don't be put off by the fact that you've got to have an IR illuminator for the 4K in order to use it in the dark. Obviously, having an IR illuminator is definitely going to show you the true performance of this scope, but it's still usable without one. Obviously, it's not as sharp because it's pitch black, but in low light situations, it is very, very usable. I think they're about 650 quid at the moment. Obviously, prices vary depending on where you are, but I approve it. I definitely approve it. It's an absolute belting scope, and it is very slick. One thing I will say as well, in terms of going through all the menus, I'd love to better show you that, but I can't record the screen. I've tried with a phone before, with a phone bracket with V2, and it just doesn't work. But yeah, going through the menus on it, easy, very easy, especially if you're familiar with the ZULUS V2. It's very intuitive. All your buttons are nice and close for you to reach. Range finding, closest button, furthest one is your power button. Then you've got your record on your right hand side, and for your left hand side, press and hold to go into night, press and hold to go back into day. As simple as that, and it's just a case of zeroing it and setting up the ballistic calculator. Yeah, that's about it. I would definitely like to have a little crack on a few rabbits with this one night, but yeah, absolutely mega. I definitely would say, if you're on the fence about buying one, buy it. You'll be very happy. It's a cracking scope. Don't discount the ZULUS V2 though. If you guys have already got a V2, I wouldn't be stressing over upgrading. Of course, it'd be nice to have the latest thing, but don't stress, it's still a cracking scope. But yeah, that's another episode of CP Fieldcraft over and done with. Unfortunately, there's not going to be any pest control in this video. It's just a short and sweet one. A little bit pushed for time for today, so yeah, that's it. You guys take it easy, and if you pick up a ZULUS 4K, let me know, put it in the comments. Any feedback, I love to hear it, and yeah, you take it easy.